DJ Easy, fucking welcome back to it, bro.
I'm super excited to be back. Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Matt Waters.
I think you were like in the early, maybe like 90. So it's been like almost 100 episodes since you've been on.
Well, 100
Yeah.
episodes.
Ooh-wee.
I'm super excited to be back after 100 episodes. That's almost a generation, basically.
It's been a lot of dumb time. I mean, like when you're looking at your YouTube stats and they're telling you the amount of minutes that someone's watched your show, you're like, well, for the amount of fucking time I put into it, I really hope someone's listening.
That's exactly how I think about it when I play video games. My hours spent playing the game, and it's over more than a week. That's insane. That means you're dedicated.
I didn't know you were a deep gamer.
Oh, I'm absolutely. I love video games.
What's got your life right now?
Right now, college football.
Okay.
Listen, 14 years we were away from the game, almost a whole decade.
Yeah.
I was super excited when they brought the game back. So I'm going to put in all of the time that I possibly can to this game. I waited so long for this game to be back. I mean, we were on vacation, and I was talking about this game. I'm like, I can't wait. I can't wait to play this game.
And is that just because you love the strategy of football, or have you had like pent up frustrations about your team losing and you just want to fucking ruin somebody's day? Okay.
I went to Akron. I wanted to play as Akron Zip.
Yeah.
Got the chance to rebuild that, play on college like I was an actual quarterback, running back, whatever it was. I got to do it. So I was excited about that. I got to play in the MAC. You get to play with the college teams. The uniforms are absolutely amazing. I get to be like Nick Saban. Are you kidding me? Like, I didn't get to experience that after being in 8th grade. That's when the series went away. So to be able to play that almost 13, 14 years later, truly scratched like an itch that I didn't have from my childhood.
Did you play any high school football?
I did. I played my freshman year. I played freshman and JV.
Yeah.
And our freshman team was pretty decent, but our JV team, let's just say we didn't have the best time.
Do you have any high school classmates you want to throw under the bus for their?
Ooh,
no, I'm kidding. Why are you thinking about it? What are you talking about?
I was going to say I got a couple of names I would have threw out there. I kid. But if you want to come back to me on that a little bit later, I might throw a couple of names. I might throw a couple of people under the bus.
I would love to hear some tea about that. I mean, that's what everyone's looking at for their Instagram notifications.
Yeah.
Like, who's talking shit today? Okay.
I loved football. Like it was absolutely one of the best times. And I'm upset that I didn't continue to play because I feel like if I'd have played varsity football, we actually probably would have did something. I probably would have enjoyed it, probably at a different position. But the fact that I didn't get to, it's still a mystery. It's a what if.
Yeah. Well, I think we talked about this last time.
Yeah.
It's like you put your whole life into sports growing up, and you start to specialize and really focus on this because every kid has that dream of what if I can go to that next level. And I feel like so many folks have gotten so much pressure put on them to focus on one sport, to play the off-season ball, to really go to the trainers and things like that, that you kind of miss out on part of the high school experience. Like, how many seasons do I have available that I could go out and try something new? It's like, I got cut from a basketball team, so I played volleyball, and that ended up being an awesome experience. But also realizing, all right, I don't need to put a lot of my life into basketball. That's not going to be what I'm doing.
Did you enjoyed volleyball?
Oh, yeah. I was also trash at volleyball. I mean, I wasn't the athlete that needed to be focused on. It's like just getting to try something new. It was fun as fuck.
See, shouts out to Jack Hodgsfield and Ben Holt. They when my basketball career got cut short, unfortunately, they actually tried to get me to come and play volleyball. And I really thought about giving it a chance, but I was like, I can't really see myself playing volleyball because like I played it for fun. I understand the game, but like actually getting out there and doing it competitively with so many people who have actually put some time into it and really have put their all into it, I feel like I would be doing it a disservice if I'm not actually out there trying and really understanding the game and giving my all on top of practicing my all too as well.
Well, I think that's just a competitive nature of some people. It's like you were playing basketball at such a high level. It's like, well, why would I just dabble lightly in this kind of thing?
You can't. Like when you're doing something, no matter if it's something new or it's something that you're passionate about, once you go all in, you have to give it your all. Like you have to go all in for your teammates, not only for your teammates, but yourself. You got to put that time into it. So it's hard for me to just dabble in something, no matter what it is, whether it's sports or it's a relationship or it's something I'm passionate about. Once I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing, I gotta go 100% with it.
Yeah. Well, I think I always say like certain people live at a certain reservation of depth
Yeah.
in life. It's like I don't like small talk. I don't want to skip around shit in this life. It's I start here and we're going to continue to kind of move into what's meaningful about this.
Absolutely.
And I can definitely feel that in the way that you took to DJing and in your world of radio. It's just like, if it's not your everything, what is it?
How can you say that you love something or you're truly passionate about it if you're not understanding the craft, understanding and fine-tuning the little things about what you do, and fine-tuning not only just the little things, but like even how you market yourself, how you come across to other individuals? Are you really putting your passion, putting your all into your passion and really trying to mold it into something great to not only inspire yourself, but inspire the people around you to really believe in what you're doing? I might be going kind of off the rails with that, but when, for example, when I first started DJing, it was just a passion. People probably saw it as, hey, this guy is doing something new. He might be a wannabe radio personality or a wannabe DJ, but as you put your time into it, that 1%, right? You put that 1% into what you're trying to do, you completely continue to get better, and you're gradually getting better. So that person who might not have been paying attention to you in the beginning, they come back later and then they see that you're exponentially good at what you've been doing. That's no coincidence. You put the time into it. You've put the 1%. You've put the little baby steps into being great, into fine-tuning your skill.
Well, I was thinking about us getting to hang out the other day, and for the first time in a while, I'm flipping through radio stations and just hearing voices of people that put 10,000 hours into that craft. And it's a really particular thing that might be almost losing its relevance in the cultural zeitgeist, but it is such an important job to be a curator, to be a familiar voice, whether you're a morning commute kind of person or you're helping people diffuse what their week was on a weekend evening, and the radio is the only companionship they have there. Do you find that when you describe what you do and why you're passionate about it, that people are less understanding about radio these days?
I think a lot of people are misunderstood about radio in the aspect of they can't see themselves on the radio. You know, radio a long time ago used to be really, really, really locally based. You knew whoever it was that you were talking to, or you kind of grew up with that person. You might have knew them a long time ago from a long place of whatever they were doing. But radio in that sense has become so syndicated and so nationally so done nationally. Like everybody is syndicated. Nobody is really actually in the studio anymore.
Yeah.
And it's real unfortunate because we're not touching the listener. We're not touching the average person. You know, people can't call the radio station every now and then and be like, I want to talk to such and such, because they're not in the studio. They're not there. They're not actually talking to the people. So I feel like at some point there was some type of disconnect between the listener and the radio station.
Well, I think that's a great point. It's like the way that the world is moving right now. We've gone from being global to being strictly internet to now hoping that hyper local has something to offer you.
Yeah.
It's like, as folks, you know, I was telling someone the other day, we described doom scrolling. And does that mean you're scrolling through shit that bums you out, that scares you? No, I think the doom is implied by the fact that it's a bottomless well of content that you don't really get a lot out of, versus being in person at an event where a DJ is standing behind the booth, and regardless what you're participating in, you're part of your community. You're going to walk away with that, having a better sense for your neighbors, what's going on in your home, how you can be a part of your neighborhood, you know?
I love how you talk about that aspect of doom scrolling. A lot of people, it seems like nowadays, they'll take content from a particular person rather than just create their own content. They'll take content from somebody that somebody else made, or maybe it's a tweet from somebody else, and then they'll just regurgitate the same type of information that was already put out into the world that they heard from somebody else just to get some likes and clicks. And I think that hurts because we're not getting original content from original people and people's original thoughts, which is adding now to people doom scrolling on social media because they're hearing the same thing over and over again, and they're trying to get to some new content or some new type of thought, whatever it is, whatever the new content is, instead of the regurgitated thoughts over and over again. I think we're really in a pandemic for that.
Yeah, there's a sickness when you're afraid of silence in your life, and like we're people, we're bound to parakeet things. When someone says something moving to you, sometimes you can relay that better because you shape it through your own perspective, but you share that same idea, and these ideas proliferate in a really important way. But when we are just bound to repeatedly scare each other or try to put things out there just like, boy, if I get on Threads one more time and see if you like this, I'm going to Zelle you 4,700 pictures. I'm like, is there any more low-life version of content than promising people you'll send them money for likes and then not sending people shit? Because I can't imagine they're sending people shit.
Oh, absolutely not. The scamming is at an all-time high. The FX, the trader scammers, the people who sell slapwoods or backwoods or whatever it is, those people that scam. It's so many different scams out there. It's really at an all-time high, and I think it's really sad, honestly. It's really, really sad.
Well, I think also in what you and I do, when you look at a world that might need some course correction, and you talk about what is necessary versus what is not necessary, not related to like essential workers, but like what do they cut first in bars and clubs? Entertainment, typically.
Always. That's the fun.
Yeah, exactly. They have to cut down those things that don't really have a monetary value. It makes creatives like you and I have to say, like, so what do I really bring to the table?
Absolutely.
What part of this is companionship that is worthwhile to folks? And when you look at a lot of content that people put out where you do just parakeet certain ideas and you do just kind of live a life in redundancy, it's like, wow, that's getting more and more fickle for what it brings to the table, and your purpose is slowly dwindling.
How do you stay new in a craft where a lot of people are regurgitating the same thing, or a lot of people feel they can be a podcaster or feel that they can just do a lot of the same things that I would say me and you have put a lot of time into? We've put our 1,000 hours into being great at our craft. How do you come out with new content and continue to mold your craft?
Well, I think songwriting is a really particular version of that because no idea that either of us will ever have is brand new. Yeah. Someone's thought it before, and I like to think that we share an idea of what that is, and we're all kind of pulling from the same source, whether that's God, whether that's the muse, whether that's this bucket of information in the cosmos that we got to reach for. So when you're writing tunes, the main thing that you need to remember is you are the only person that's ever taken in the study that you have, every song you've ever listened to, every album you've ever taken the time for, every piece of poetry you've ever read. So that particular lens is going to spit out something, and you are the only one that can do it, so you're the only one that should do it. And we were talking about Prince earlier. Yeah. When I think about Prince would spit in my face if I made my living playing his songs. And at this point in my life, I do play some Prince songs. I do get paid handsomely for it. That's rad, but at the same time, if I want to respect my heroes, I must reciprocate what they did. When it comes to what a DJ does, some folks might not understand the artistry and what goes on there. In a live DJing facility, when someone can bring together a new mixture of flavors and reinvent the way that a hook sits in your life, or reinvent the way that this instrumental and this vocal is going to ignite a certain part of your mind and kind of give you that feeling, like that has an aura of creativity that people can't understand in conversation. But there's a lot of folks today that aren't going to have a meaningful conversation with a friend that they went to the 8th grade with. And there's going to be something today that you and I get to share that's going to bring back sweet, sweet nostalgia for them as well. And maybe that starts a phone call. And maybe that brings them to a better place of understanding. So I think there's just an element of hope in staying creative and hoping that you can bring something unique to the table. Because who the fuck knows?
And I think we definitely do a good job of bringing something unique to the table. But I definitely agree with you on that as far as playing Prince's song and not creating your own type of music as well to stay delicate to what the craft is and what he does.
Yeah, he would break my legs with his memoir, okay, if he found out that I'm making my living playing Prince. And I'm not explicitly shouting at Prince tribute acts, but I do think they need to reconsider what they're called to do in this life.
I would definitely agree with you on that.
Did you know that he was an all-state basketball player in Minnesota?
Prince was?
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense then for the jersey and the NBA jersey and it being the highest NBA selling jersey in Minnesota. Yes, it's not Anthony Edwards. It's not.
Dude, that's devastating. That's
Karl Anthony Towns. It's Prince. The Prince jersey is the highest selling Minnesota jersey.
If you could get get Nelson for the name and then get the Prince logo on it for Prince Roger Nelson, I'd be ecstatic about that. So if you're telling me that's available, I'm gonna get a ripped off version of this week. That sounds rad as hell.
I didn't know he was a state.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you've seen that Chappelle skit where they talk about Prince hooping on those guys. It's like Prince loved playing basketball. And eventually what brought Prince's demise is he's taking pain pills for his hips because his hips were just blown out of place from years of dancing in heels and playing a lot of basketball growing up. So it's weird to, when you see the humanity in your heroes, it's like, as a creative, he is on a godly level. But on an anatomical level, this guy had hip pain. Like any person again in their late 50s that's just put in that work. And like,
I mean, you got to take care of your hips and joints.
Straight up.
It's amazing that LeBron is doing what he's doing at the age of 40 and still playing the game the way he plays it. I mean, I can only imagine. I tore my knee up just on a few years of playing basketball. So I could only imagine, especially when you're out there moving the way Prince moves and doing the things that Prince does, I could only imagine how much pain, especially all the tours too, on top of that, all of the...
For sure. Well, and he's doing 3-hour shows and going and playing another 3-hour show. Prince's after parties are one of the most legendary parts of his musical experience. Like, any kind of maniac that says like, oh, I just played a 3-hour show and now I want to run another 5-hour set at a random club down the street for free just because you want to keep playing, like that's an animal.
No, you're insane at that point, and you really love what you do.
For sure.
Which goes back to that passion. You have to have that passion. You can do it for free. You'll do it for free.
Yeah.
You have probably done it for free.
And there's something interesting in the comparison of what LeBron does and what Prince does. Like, not many folks are able to go on that journey and make it to the opportunity to even try at that level. Like, there's a great new documentary out called Black Genius, and it's about Sly Stone, and it's produced by Questlove. Okay. And I haven't watched the documentary yet. I got to get Hulu again, dog, okay?
Free Hulu. Talk to me.
Free Hulu. No, they're just like, okay, I got to play a very conservative game of how many fucking streaming platforms. I'm going to just subscribe to it once.
It's bad.
Are you on all?
I have them all. It's really bad.
And you're like, man, I write this off for my business. I got to stay in the loop. I'm on the air.
I need to see what's going on. I need to be on every single show, and I need to be watching it while everybody's watching it.
Yeah. Well, but they talk about the shortcomings of a Sly Stone. And one of the things that I didn't really comprehend is how many of the Prince-isms that I love that are Sly-isms that are, digested and reciprocated by a young kid from Minneapolis. Yeah. And he was able to see the way that Sly struggled with fame and struggled with drugs and struggled with trying to pay back his community while also being free to navigate without the weight of other people's pressure on his life. And so Prince is able to evade that to a certain point and get to this level, but who knows what happens there. James didn't make it that far. Sly didn't make it that far. Curtis Mayfield didn't make it that far. Bill Withers didn't make it that far. So what does that look like? It's completely untreaded waters.
Uncharted territory.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't tell you what to do when they've never been where you've been or have done the things that you've done. They've only made it so far. So at this point, you're moving on at your own accord at that point because it's uncharted waters. Yeah.
And I think when you really respect the blessing of your mentors and the people that love and support you, like I got a tattoo that I drew from my dad, and it's a picture of a figure holding a ladder while another person climbs it. It's like, without the people in place, you got to fucking find a wall to lean this up on. But if you have the right people in your life, they'll hold the base and let you stand on the shoulders of giants, and they'll show you a clean path that you can move as linear as possible in this life to get there. That's one of the ultimate sacrifices. And you got to look at people like Sly as martyrs for what music can do to a life that is as well lived as one can under those circumstances. Like, so much of modern pop is based around that guy, and even myself as a big fan, until this documentary came out, couldn't really see clearly the things that he sacrificed and did for us.
We need those front runners, those people, those forefathers that lead the way for us and the next generation to do what we do. But also, we need the next generation who are doing these things. We need them to do their due diligence on the people that have done what they have done before us.
Yeah, and do you kind of have a clear front runner for what you do and what you want to accomplish in this life that you kind of reference?
I definitely do. I would definitely say I watched a bunch of different people. My cousin DJ Marky G, absolute legend. At least I feel he is a legend in this time.
Where's he based out of?
He's based out of Atlanta.
Okay, very nice. That seems like a brutal market to be in the world of DJing and radio personalities, just because of the amount of competition.
I mean, everybody in their mom is doing that. Not to mention the people that are also doing internet radio or doing their own thing behind the scenes, on top of the podcast. And yeah, I can only imagine just what he's had to sacrifice just to be where he is.
Yeah. And do you kind of have particular arenas that you want to dip your toes in while saying, like, okay, well, I thought about this and that's going to be too much. I'm not going to be a YouTube curator. I'll do radio and I'll do podcasting, but I'm going to skip TikTok or anything like that. Do you have any boundaries?
No, I think everything is limitless. I think the biggest thing is just tackling those new markets. And for so long, I've been able to do what I do and reach people and actually talk to people on a face-to-face, but more so doing things that are on the internet and letting the world see what I do and just opening up myself to anyone and everyone instead of being so congested and only kind of really dependent on the city and not only the city but the state of Ohio. Opening up myself nationally and globally to what I do to so many other different people, I think would definitely help me. No, I think I'm limitless to what I can do and what I can accomplish, and I think it's just only a matter of time and figuring out the right people and the right channels to go about it.
And do you have any like legacy acts that you're currently working with these days that doesn't really see that kind of opening opportunity? Or are most folks that you work with, especially at the Wiz, like your personal pocket and support team, are they pretty understanding of how the world has changed for your type of creativity?
I think the people that are at the radio station are very understanding of where the world is going and how much we are in our phones and how much everything has went digital, how quickly we can assimilate information and get information, that if we're not the ones putting it out, at least we're talking about it, at least we're putting ourselves in the conversation to talk about it where people are seeing our face. With everything happening so fast on social media nowadays, it's hard for people to look towards the radio station as their first choice of where they're getting information from. Same with like television. The first place they're getting is their phone. Mm-hmm. So moving towards this digital place and everything that we do, whether, we're putting it out on the radio, but we're putting it out on our phone first, that the world can see it and they can get that information before necessarily the radio hears it.
And in that kind of way, like when you find yourself kind of at the center of controversy, or when you find yourself in these moments where like a particular moment that didn't seem that bombastic to you ends up kind of blowing up, like how do you react to that? Can you kind of describe like what happened and how you felt walking away from it before it was like TikTok, something's happening?
I didn't really know what the moment would be. I I knew when Marlon Wayans had pulled up, it would be a cool situation, but just the way he was talking about his situation with Soulja Boy, it kind of happened so fast, and the way he said it, you wouldn't have known that he was giving breaking information and that this information was coming from right here at a interview that we did. It happened so fast, like we're just having casual conversation, and he name dropped Soulja Boy, and he says his music hasn't been hot for a while. And you
didn't even find that startling. You're like, I grew up with a little Soulja Boy.
I like Soulja Boy, you know.
I watched you dance at 8th grade mixers. I know that you were familiar with the catalog.
I'm personally a fan of Soulja Boy, but hey, you're speaking your piece. I'm gonna let you get it off.
Yes.
But I didn't realize that he was saying breaking information. But then also, I had this eureka type of moment. I realized that the power of the tongue is extremely, extremely powerful. You say anybody's name and you say it the right way, you don't know that that word can get back to him immediately. And he heard it. And he heard it, not only did he hear it, he heard it with our face, my face, on the clip that he was talking about. And it's just like, wow, like you got to really be careful about what you say and how you say it, because you never know when that information is going to get to the next person, whether it's good or whether it's bad.
Yeah.
You hope you're on the right side of things.
Yeah. Well, and is there really a right side to controversy in that one? Again, like you're just letting someone speak their piece, but they start going off and like causing a little bit of confrontation with somebody. And, you know, I think with the way that like music has had so much conflict in the last couple years, it's a weird place to be a musical curator and say like separating the artist from the art. All the places that we must do that, whether we're talking about people that we love or people that we don't love so much, when they're still in a place where they're creating and going after it. And then someone starts to get a little bit spicy with someone else's name in their mouth. Like, I'm just scrolling on my phone and I see this viral, you know, clip of this guy talking about Soulja Boy. And I was like, is that Dahmere just smiling in the background? Like, no shit, you know? So how long did it take for it to kind of come back to you and you're like, oh,
well, so it hit social media and a whole bunch of blogs picked it up. So first they picked up that he was putting out a new Scary Movie. We're all happy. Scary Movie, absolute classic movie. We're excited about it. That's the first thing that the tabloids picked up. And that kind of spread from the Morning Hustle, the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, TMZ. And then it turned into, well, Marlon Wayans feels such and such way about Soulja Boy. And then when you click on the website, you see that it's just that one click. Well, nobody listened to the full actual interview of what he said in the 2 minutes. They just saw the clip of him dissing Soulja Boy. But he was really using Soulja Boy as an example for the point that he was trying to make about the state of music and what people are doing and how he feels about comedy. So it got all lost in the shuffle. And, you know, Soulja Boy is Soulja Boy. He's going to react to it the way he wants to react to it regardless. He completely took it out of context, but it was just really crazy that this all happened over 2 to 3 weeks. And each time the story was a little bit different from what it originally was. It started off as Marlon Wayans' Scary Movie and ended up as Marlon Wayans dissing Soulja Boy. Just the way information disseminates and us being at the core of that and seeing how it could disseminate to different people, it really seemed like a case of telephone via radio.
Yeah, and it's just wild to be on the receiving end of that too, where it's like, yeah, you're not involved in the beef directly, but it's your face going around.
I'm just here, you know, I'm just hanging out. I'm like,
hoping for the best. Have you reached out to Soulja Boy to see if he wants to say something?
You know, I haven't reached out to Soulja Boy, but I would definitely love for him to give us some words on it and just give us his piece. You know, Soulja Boy's words are always welcome on 101.1 The Wiz, and they're definitely welcome from DJ Easy. I promise you, Soulja Boy, please say something. Say anything. We just want to hear from you.
I'm looking forward to clipping that. That was beautiful said. That would be good. Well, Well, like I heard an interesting thing about like the state of censorship in Europe,
Yeah.
and someone made the point of saying like, especially when it comes to like the idea of hate speech, that the internet has more permanence, therefore it has more, it has more weight, and you need to worry about that kind of thing. Like, I
Oh,
believe that
absolutely.
your ability to speak your mind is important, but boy, is it super valid that the internet is going to stay, and you need to worry about how you're going to be perceived in 50 years, 100 years. When you look back at the folks that were really monumental in shaping our country, some of the things that they did are not okay by today's standards.
But they're not plastered all over social media, and you can't make clips that live on forever. The clip history lives on longer than anything. It's going to live on longer than anything that we're ever going to see. Your digital footprint, crazy. Forget about it.
Exactly, and you need to consider that when you're putting content out. Does that mean you put out less content, or does it mean you try to speak with the most clear intention? Your intention almost doesn't matter. The moment that they get the clip, they run, baby, and it's like we're just catching up. There's nothing planned about this, but the moment that you slip, there's fucking ice in your life, okay? And someone's gonna hit a slip and fall, and they're gonna sue your ass. It's like, it's scary.
You know who's suffering from that right now? And he's a Cincinnati guy. My guy, I Show Speed. You went on a podcast with Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp.
No.
You go on there and you say Cincinnati girls are terrible. And you're from Cincinnati, Ohio. Yeah, you might be the most famous person in the world, but we know your aunts, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, your cousins. Like, you have to come back home to the city of Cincinnati and show your face to the same people who are propping you up. Yeah, the whole world is propping you up, but like, it's something more special about when your city, your own hometown, is behind you, and they're on your back, and they rock with you. And I feel like we all have a responsibility to make sure we're representing ourselves and our city in the right way when we have the chance to do that.
Absolutely. And there's just so many ways to disrespect where you come from in that regard. And like, sometimes you say things like that to be shocking.
Yeah.
You better hope no one's recording at this point.
You have to hope and pray people just let it slide, or it's just a moment. Like, that's not your best moment, and obviously he didn't mean it that way. He probably meant it just in the moment, as him thinking as when he was in the city of Cincinnati and what he had to go through. But clips live on forever.
Yeah.
They just play that 5 to 7 second clip of you saying that, and then boom, it's you clearly hate Cincinnati people, when it's not the case. It's not the case at all.
Yeah, but when I see like Ohio against the world T-shirts and whatnot, and it's like, I think every state probably has those. But now when I read that, I think of strictly Cat Williams, and I'm like, boy, he has given us like a piece of fighting beef in every single category. And boy, do I want to go see him live this year. Have you ever seen him calling out that woman's jewelry on one of those morning radio shows?
Oh, Wanda absolutely did her in, and her wig. She stood no chance.
Oh my God! When she told him that his hair was real, he's like, "Honey, I haven't gotten a haircut in the last 10 years."
This hair is real. It stands up.
Oh my God!
This is not weave. This is perm.
Do you think he's gonna go back on Shay Shay?
Absolutely. Okay. We need a part 2.
Well, yeah.
We thought we were getting a part 2 in January of 2025 to start the year again. I don't even know where that rumor came from. It just totally came out of nowhere. But
yeah, it's crazy to see that this guy still he is at the highest level of fame in my opinion, but he still does have a Dayton, Ohio vibe, which I think is amazing. It's like there's something about Dayton that might be the most potent part of the state. I love our Cincinnati. I love Cleveland. There's something really weird going on in Dayton.
I love my Dayton people, but it's something.
There's something
they're
wrong and right.
They're different. Like, Dayton people are one of a kind. They're lovely people first and foremost. They're absolutely lovely people. But I've just never met anyone in the state of Ohio when they say they're from Dayton. You can just tell.
Yeah, exactly. I could assume this from a lot of things about you, and I'm not going to rip my stereotypes on this podcast because clips live on forever, and I don't want to fight those people. But there's so much great funk legacy that comes from Dayton, whether it's Sap,
Absolutely.
whether it's the Ohio players.
Yeah.
And it's like, so why do you have musical pockets that live on that kind of way? Like sometimes I think it's in the water. Sometimes I think
Yeah.
there's something electromagnetic going on. But also you just find the right group of friends and almost like a limitation of what they can consume. The constraints make the best art. The best thing about any like oil paint you've ever seen is the edge of the canvas and what they couldn't do in that space, so what they had to do in this space. And I think when you find something as like oddly reserved as a Dayton, Ohio, the records that made it in were so formative, and the records that didn't make it in were so formative. So you had this explosion of music that sounds like nothing else you've ever heard.
I think Ohio music just in general is just one of a kind. I mean, we had so many people that have came out of the state of Ohio, whether it was from Dayton, whether it was from Cleveland, whether it was from right here in Cincinnati. Just the state of music and the type of music that we were creating from what our R&B and what our funk sounded like, it is a sound that just traveled all across the country, but I feel it doesn't really get the love and the respect that it should get for what we accomplished and what we created. And I feel that sound, that specific sound, needs to be brought back, and it needs to be brought back specifically from an Ohio artist that's paying homage to the Cincinnati's, the Daytons, the Clevelands. I feel like I'm missing somebody out there, but the Toledos of the world, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that when you're missing industry, you miss out on people that fucking punch their card when things go well,
Yeah.
and can claim that for the sake. Like someone like Bootsy. Bootsy will always claim Cincinnati, but Bootsy's so international that it almost doesn't matter that he's from Cincinnati. Now, what he's done with Bootzilla Productions and having a label that's based in the city, it's just like that makes a big difference. But there's so many folks in the rap game that I feel like there's no way to centralize what's going on there. Like take someone like Lantana, for instance. That's a name that I've been hearing for the last 10 years of my life, and every time I check in, the material's just getting better.
Absolutely.
But there's no industry that can take a talent like that and push him in a proud manner to be a Cincinnati artist on the national kind of level. So he has to leave the city. You know, people have told me my entire career, you have to leave Cincinnati if you want to get anywhere. And I tell them, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, because I want to raise my kids around my parents and whatnot. It's like, this will happen on my own terms, but we're missing that chance.
Well, see, what I love about Ohio with my time of living in Cleveland is that Cleveland, they have artists. They have the Machine Gun Kellys. They have the Kid Cudis. They have the industry of people who have done what they needed to do, and they go back home and they give game to those individuals that are there. They create those avenues for people to be able to be great. They're now creating festivals. They're now creating talk shows. They're creating businesses where their friends can now go in there and operate and create for themselves and make a name for themselves, and then leave and come back and say, hey, I'm from Cleveland. We need LA Reid. We need King Records. We need these big avenues of people who have done so much in the city of Cincinnati. We need Bootsy. We need people to create these avenues for us who have already left Cincinnati and traveled worldwide and did what they did. We need them to come back home and put our flag in the ground.
Yeah.
Establish something for us, for all of these artists, these great artists that we have in the city of Cincinnati who are hometown heroes. I always say that we need to treat our hometown heroes or our hometown artists like they are superstars, because they are superstars. If you go to Detroit, if you go to LA, you go to any of these other cities, they're treating their local stars like they're superstars. No matter what field they're in, no matter what genre they're in, you are a superstar, and you're a superstar not only because you are a superstar, but you're a superstar because you're from Cincinnati, Ohio. And I can relate to that. I grew up here. You grew up here. You went to school here. I went to school here. We all come from the same place. We're all trying to get somewhere. We need the people that are from here. We need them to come here and plant a flag in the ground.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. And like you have to go from a place of pride to a place of leverage.
Yeah,
You know, I can show you what we had to offer and I can show you what we have to offer. But if you don't let us kind of convert this into momentum, we kind of get stuck. And Cleveland does an awesome job at that. They just had a great
absolutely.
festival called Bright Winter that
Yes,
that it looked like that fucking banged. I had a bunch of friends that played it. You see the folks are out in freezing temperatures just getting
absolutely.
after it. And there's something about Cincinnati that just doesn't have that recognition of what's going on in the city. You know, our relationship is different because you participate in this level of
Yes.
creativity, and you can see when someone's putting their time in. And for you to come to that live album meant a lot to me. But I have better fan bases in different parts of the country because
You went crazy too. By
thanks,
the way.
man.
Wow.
Best sounding room in the city. I'd highly recommend Radio Artifact for anything. I think the Wiz should be doing some stuff over there when
I
folks
agree.
come through. So maybe I can help connect that. But
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
But it's just, it's tough when you have this feeling that why am I begging my friends and neighbors and family to come out and see me put my heart and soul on the line when if I show up in Sandown, New Hampshire, 50 miles from damn near anything, we're rolling 100 deep and we're about to break through a deck on somebody's back porch. It's hard to articulate the frustration you feel when your hometown must love you first. But if your hometown doesn't love you, you need to get out and show them why they should.
Absolutely.
Did you ever feel that way about going to Cleveland and earning your stripes there?
I definitely felt that way at first. It was hard. It was tough going and doing college radio and trying to break the mold and put myself out there and say, hey, I'm DJ Easy and I'm doing radio and I'm a radio personality and I'm talking. It was hard to go out and do those house parties and to put those 1,000 hours in. And hey, maybe I might not have been that good to start out and get that criticism and try to build that rapport. But it's something about being in a different city and not being from there and you having the weight of your shoulders on your back and that chip on your shoulder and you just digging deep and going and getting after it. And the knowledge and the time and all of the effort and just the hours of putting in the work in a different city and other people getting to understand me and getting to know me for what I do, it's something about that that's real passion. But it doesn't feel as good as doing it in your hometown and all of the people that you've grown up with and worked with and went to school with and they've just seen you put the hours in. It's something that feels a little bit better about it when you're here because it feels better because you feel more like a hometown hero than just a guy that's in a city.
Yeah. And when you have something to show in other places, like FOMO is it's viewed as a negative thing in so many parts of our life because of the way that the internet can affect our our mental health. But sometimes it's important for your hometown to see you kicking ass somewhere else.
Absolutely.
So when you come back, they want to be a part of that thing. To show someone something they can't have has all the sex appeal of giving it in the first place without the wastefulness that someone might approach that with.
And they're like, wow, this city, he's in a city that nobody knows. They definitely don't know him, but they absolutely love what he does. And we had him in our city doing exactly what he loved to do, and we never went and supported him.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go and support him the next time he's here. Maybe we should come out and check out what all of the fuss is about. And it feels good, and I hope you do, because I'm from the city. I'm from the city. I'm from the 513. I'm here. I'm somebody that has been here doing this whole time. We just needed the world to catch on. That's all.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes it never feels good to take your L's, but it feels good to take your L's in places where no one you love's ever gonna see that.
Yeah, you can just brush it off. Nobody knows me. I'm here. There's nobody here, but it's cool. I'm gonna put my time in. I'm gonna try to get better.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get better for that next time that everybody is going to be here to see me. I'm going to be better for when that room is completely full and there is 100 to 500 people in the room to 1,000 people in the room ready to hear what I do. I'm going to be ready for that moment.
Yeah.
You got to be ready for when the moment is there so you can seize the moment.
Well, I think there's one of the most important skill sets that you and I have gotten into is that sense of seeing your audience and speaking to them. Your talking points don't mean shit. Your idea of what you're going to come in here with doesn't mean shit. Sometimes you're talking blind to the world through the lens of someone that you know well. Sometimes it's a stranger. Sometimes you're standing on the street with a speaker talking to 15 people hoping it becomes 50 some point. And those moments are super intimidating because you need to see yourself as the rudder, not the ship. I don't know what I'm selling them at this point necessarily. I just know that I'm going to steer my way into trying to get enough folks on this thing that now we're having a good time. But I had a gig in Hampstead, North Carolina the other day, and it was listening room vibes. So when you do the listening room, sometimes it's mainly folks over 50 sitting in fold-out chairs. You can hear a pin drop, and they just want to hear, like, delicate storytelling. And I can do that for all of 50 minutes to 2 hours if we wanted to, but then I'm really starting to scratch my head saying, like, I got some dirty fucking funk I want to show these people.
It's time to get funky.
And I show them that, and then they're confused. And I'm like, oh, God, do I go back? Do I turn around? It's like, well, right now, baby, you're the rudder, and you're trying to get people on board, and we have no idea what this thing is, so let's just hope for the best. And I'm not going to say it was necessarily an L, but it didn't feel great walking away from there. So you do it on someone else's territory, you come back, you try again.
It happens, you know? You figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And especially when you're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work, you're going to take some L's, but you're also going to get some W's.
For sure.
You're just hoping you get more W's than L's.
And dubs on their home court, that's fucking sassy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We need some cruelty to this thing, you know. Bring your mascot out. He's going to get yammed on.
Walk in your trap, take over your trap.
Facts. What would you say is the most fulfilling part of what you do?
Being able to affect people, good and bad. I would say I love the effect that I have on individuals when I get to not only have conversations with them, play their music, but making that connection with them. That's the biggest thing, because at the end of the day, music, talking to people, creating music, that's a passion for whoever it is. No matter what you have going on in your life, whether it's good, whether it's bad, because some of the people that I do talk to, their life is not the best. But you know what is the best about them right now? The music that they have. And not only that, them being able to talk about the music and talk about their creative process and how far they've came and how many albums they've done and why they put this song together this way, or why did they sing this melody this way. Just seeing that passion, that fire in people, and them being just so excited about what they do. No matter if you're the worst person in the world or the best person in the world, passion is what everybody shares. And I love seeing that and being able to help you get from point A to point B. Let me help you do that. That connection, that's my favorite part about doing what I do.
That's
truly
beautiful. Well, and for some reason that gave me this visual of just like when you start off a career in curation and being what I'll describe as like a music specialist that's not only there to receive but to affirm things. You start off being a tally, and every artist is collecting tallies, but you earn people's respect in their ears and their contemplation to the point where one day you're the fucking presidential seal that's coming down to wax, and you telling someone that this is the record is enough to put fuel on the fire for months to come through a lot of L's. And folks don't realize how much the music that they love needs the same affirmation of you enjoying it as you listening to it and being there for their next release. Like, we're all fickle about our favorite artists.
I'm sure you listen to yourself all the time.
I don't listen back as much.
Yeah.
Because I try to avoid that because I'm not the best judge of it.
When you started, though, I'm sure you were listening to yourself all the time.
Yeah. And when I'm really in a study phase, I'm listening back incessantly. But for the most part, I try to avoid that because I'm not going to be the best judge of that thing, and I can get a little too critical.
Do you know how good it feels when another individual is genuinely I like your music, and then they pick apart from a musical standpoint, artistically, like why they like your song is just wow. Like, thank you just for exactly what you said. Thank you for affirming what I'm putting out into the world or what I'm trying to understand. And thank you just for taking the time to listen. It truly feels impeccable.
Yeah. And I think that hits on a much more macro note of it's easier to tear down than it is to build.
Absolutely.
So respect the folks that are out here building something that you can take part in. And if you feel like tearing something down, tear your own shit down. You know, move on and give some space to folks, because we're all in that work in progress phase. And when you look around at the art that's been meaningful in your life, and then you look at artists that are trying to be meaningful in your life, you never know when that space of separation is going to collide and everything you ever needed in that moment. There's a great tune I've been listening to by a guy named Steven Wilson Jr. And the song, it's called I'm a Song. And it's describing all these moments where music was the only way to get you over the hump. And one of the lines is like, when your best friend died, I helped you cry, and something to let it on. Sometimes you reach these emotional ruts that it is one song that can push you into the healing process. But who the fuck knows when that's going to happen and when that's going to click and what it's going to be. It could be your favorite artist. It could be a complete rando out of left field. You know, and every time that you get on the air, you never know when you're going to be the antenna for a little bit of truth and honesty that someone needed to hear right then at 7:58 on a fucking Tuesday before they go in the office. I don't care if they're quitting or they're asking for a promotion. You told them what they needed to hear that day.
And it's important to be kind to individuals. You never know what people are going through on a day-to-day basis. Please just be more kind to people. That's what I ask the world, is just be kinder. Affirm people. Affirm them and let them know that they are appreciated. You never know what somebody is going through. You never know how just words of affirmation could make somebody's day or make them continue on just a little bit longer. Just be kind to people.
Well said. And as long as I've known you, brother, you've been nothing but a smiling face to a lot of people that needed it. You always had a way of breaking through and reminding people what mattered, that present moment, whether it was the way you did in sports or in conversation or just in your presence. So thanks for taking some time with me today.
Oh, same to you, Matt. A lot of people I feel like people don't take enough time to tell you how truly a light you are on this world, brother. Seriously, since I've known you, and even before I know you, just hearing different people speak about you and the way they spoke about you before I had even met you, you are truly a light on this world, and you really don't know how special you are, but I do, and I'm happy that I got to meet you before the world gets to meet Matt Waters.
We were eating potatoes in Coach Luck's fucking garage, man. And that
best potatoes in the world, baby.
Baby. Well, Easy, I love you, bro. Thanks for coming on today. This is episode 194. So, friends, make sure you catch them on 101 The Wiz. Do you have certain times that you're going to be typically on?
Monday through Friday, drive time at 5. I'm on at rush hour, spinning the hottest music on the ones and twos. And you can catch me on Sundays at 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. on the 513 Heat, local music, all local music right here in the tri-state area. Hey, if you want to send your song, if you think you got great music, all I ask is 3 things. Clean, original MP3 format, 513heat@gmail.com. I got you, baby.
Gang. And your socials?
At Easy is everything on all social media platforms. Easy is everything. Real simple.
You bad motherfucker. Thanks for coming on today, bro.
Appreciate you having me, Matt Waters.
Anytime, players.